We're here on an initial permanency hearing, and I assume probably on a motion filed by Mr. Hamker to enlarge his client, the intervenor's visitation. Mr. Albee is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson is with us representing the mother, Miss Morrow, who is with us. Mr. Hill is not with us yet. He represents the father, Mr. O'Quinn, who is also not with us. Mr. Hamker is with us representing the intervenor, Miss Rodriguez, who is with us. I also show that Miss Fouts is with us. She has filed a notice of appearance. She's representing the foster placement and a relative of the child. Okay, we're going to have to go ahead and proceed without Mr. Hill. We've got a full day's docket and not much time to do it. All right, then, let's just, Mr. Albee, I don't know how you want to do this. You want to do it all together or take up the initial permanency hearing and then deal with the motion for more visitation?
Judge, I just soon do it all at one time. I got one witness and I can handle our side of it.
Okay.
All together.
Who's your witness?
Paula Mears, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll get her in. I also have Randall Smith and a Crystal Potts in the waiting room.
Your Honor, prior to starting, I do need to, if we're going to handle them all together, I need to file an objection for standing, not to the appearance by Miss O'Quinn, but for any other purposes other than what's allowed under 263, such as because she doesn't have standing.
I'm in full agreement with you that I've not been shown standing for her to intervene or any otherwise be part of the lawsuit, but I don't think anybody can object that she's a foster parent and a relative of the child. So under the section that you just quoted, they're entitled to notice of the hearing and to present evidence and be heard. So I agree with you, but Ms. Fouts, we know why she's here. And Ms. Fouts, not that it matters, but I assume is your client with you?
Yes, Your Honor. I have with me Misty O'Quinn and Brittany O'Quinn. Misty is the relative kinship placement currently, and Brittany is a secondary caregiver. And we would just like to say for the record, Your Honor, we attempted to intervene and file an original petition for termination and adoption in this cause number. The clerk's office has not allowed us to do that. So we're currently working in a separate cause number in front of Judge Martindale, where he will decide how we're going to proceed, essentially whether or not we're going to proceed in two separate cause numbers. So we attempted to have standing. We believe we qualify under the standing requirements to intervene in this cause. The clerk has just not allowed us to do that at this time.
Okay, well, I'll let you deal with Judge Martindale on that since he's the referring court. As far as today's hearing, though, you'll be allowed to present evidence if you want and be heard, but I don't want to mislead. The court does not consider you to be a party to this case today. So
we understand. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, you're welcome. Okay, then, Mr. Albee, you may proceed.
I would call Miss Paula Mears, Your Honor.
Okay.
Miss Mears, you're a St. Francis Ministries Pharmacy Specialist.
I am.
In that capacity, you are familiar with the subject of this suit?
I am.
And where is he currently placed?
In the home of Misty O'Quinn. And
how long has he been placed in the home of Misty O'Quinn?
Since November of 2023.
And when was Jax born?
In June of 2023.
So he is approximately 11 months, 10 to 11 months old.
Correct.
And he is, how's he doing in Miss O'Quinn's care?
He's doing very well.
Is she meeting all of his medical, dental needs at this time?
Yes.
Is he got any special issues or special needs that we need to address with the court?
No, sir.
His mother is Marina Morrow. Marina, excuse me. Miss Morrow, I apologize. I'm terrible with names. She was ordered to work services. Has she begun working services?
She has begun working services.
What services, if any, has she completed at this time?
She has completed some counseling right now, and she is currently in a rehab facility.
And is that rehab is that part of her service plan?
Gaining sobriety is part of her service plan.
Did she take an OSAR evaluation?
No, sir.
Okay. But she voluntarily admitted herself into the rehab facility?
Yes, she did.
Just for her sake and for the sake of everything, would we ask the court today to order that she complete that rehab assignment?
Yes.
And do you know how long she's been in the rehab?
She has already completed 30 days and she has opted to finish a 60-day.
In the meantime, has she been able to exercise any visits with Jax?
No, the court has ordered no visitations between Jax and the parents due to the fentanyl use.
This is rather late in the case. Did it take a while for Ms. Morrow to begin working services for you?
Yes.
And have there been issues with drug screens and positive drug screens during the length of the case?
Positive drug screens, yes, sir.
Would you agree then that it would not be safe to return Jax to Ms. Morrow at this time?
Yes, sir.
It would be contrary to his general welfare?
Yes, sir.
Child's father is Austin O'Quinn.
Yes, sir.
And have you had contact with Mr. O'Quinn?
In the month of March, yes, sir.
And has he begun? Well, he was also ordered to work services.
Yes, sir.
Has he begun working any services?
Not to my knowledge.
He has not provided you with any certificates of completion or any appointments that he's attended at this time?
No, sir.
There's been concerns of his substance use also?
Yes, sir.
Has he complied with any random drug screens?
In March, he did.
And did you get a result from that random drug screen?
I did.
And what was the result?
It was positive for methamphetamine. The lab did not run the fentanyl testing, but he admitted to fentanyl testing or fentanyl use.
Mr. O'Quinn admitted to you that he was continuing to use fentanyl?
Yes. And he was also positive for cocaine.
Would you agree with me that because he's not working services, he's not attempting to alleviate the reasons for the child's removal, that it would not be safe to return Jax to Mr. O'Quinn at this time?
Yes, sir.
And it would be contrary to Jax's general welfare to do so?
Yes, sir.
Has he been exercising any visits with Jax at this time?
No, sir, due to the court order.
And again, he was court ordered not to have contact with Jax, again, because of his lack of cooperation with the department and his failure to alleviate the reasons for the removal?
And the danger of the fentanyl use. Yes, sir.
Child's grandmother, Miss Veronica Rodriguez, has requested additional visitation. First of all, can you tell us how much visitation she currently gets?
She's getting 2 hours a week.
And is that visitation supervised or unsupervised?
It is supervised.
And where is it? Is that visitation held?
At our visitation house.
She's asking for additional visitation, and I think she's asking for unsupervised visitation. Do you have an opinion as to whether or not she should be allowed to have additional unsupervised visits at this time?
I do not believe that she should have any unsupervised visitation.
All right, so let's talk about that for just a second. Is Miss Rodriguez married?
She is.
And when the Jax was placed in the care of the department, where was Miss Rodriguez's husband?
In prison.
And do you know if he is still in prison?
He is not.
And do you know where he returned after he left prison?
To Miss Rodriguez's home.
So he's an additional person in the home?
Correct.
And have you looked at his criminal history?
I have.
And does his criminal history cause you concerns?
It does.
What kind of concerns or what kind of things in his criminal history cause you concerns?
He has extensive drug-related history.
Ms. Rodriguez Jax was placed with Miss Rodriguez for a period of time after the child's birth.
Yes, sir.
And during that time, was the department attempting to alleviate some of the concerns with Miss Morrow and Mr. O'Quinn without the possibility of removing the child?
Yes, sir.
And is from your review of the file, do you believe that Miss Rodriguez understood what the concerns for her daughter and Mr. O'Quinn were, that the child was placed in her care?
It is my understanding, yes, sir.
And during that time when the child was placed with Miss Rodriguez, was she allowing the parents to have unsupervised visits with the child?
Yes, sir.
Does that cause you concerns?
Very much, sir.
During her visits at the St. Francis Ministries Visitation House, is she given a list of rules that she's supposed to comply with?
It's my understanding, yes, sir.
And are some of those rules that she's not to allow contact between the child and Miss Morrow?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that Miss Rodriguez has been videotaping those visits that she has and sending those to Miss Morrow?
At least on one occasion, yes, sir.
And you found that on Miss Morrow's Facebook page?
Yes, sir.
So there are concerns that Miss Rodriguez was not protected when she originally had the child in her care, and she's not being protected now, not following the rules.
Yes, sir.
So are you asking the court to continue the visitation that is in place for Miss Rodriguez?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator of this child?
Yes, sir.
And that we continue placement where the child is currently placed?
Yes, sir.
Last witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Mears, do you know what facility that Ms. Morrow is currently in rehab at?
She is at the Promises in Bastrop.
Okay. And is there any reason why some of the drug tests for the parents, some have included fentanyl testing and some have not?
It is a separate a request. Like, it doesn't automatically happen. And so like on Mr. O'Quinn's, they didn't get it in time or see it on at the same time as the other request. And so when they packaged it, it was too late. They couldn't undo the package and put that other request in with the sample.
Okay. Would you be sure in future for all drug testing for the parents, would you be sure the facility knows that the court ordered fentanyl testing be part of each drug test?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Jackson, questions?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, and for the court as well, and the attorneys involved in this case, yesterday I had filed a certificate of services on behalf of Ms. Morrow, and it's essentially a letter from Promises Brazos Valley on her admission. So I have provided that information to the court and to opposing counsel to show her enrollment. Ms. Mears, as far as Marina is concerned, has she been cooperative with you?
Yes, there was a month or two that I didn't have any contact with her, but for the most part, she has been very cooperative.
Okay, and as far as since she's been, I think that she was admitted to Promises back on April the 23rd of 2024. Does that sound right to you?
That does sound right.
And since she's been admitted to that place, has she maintained contact with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And ma'am, you had testified earlier that currently that there is no visitation in place at all for Ms. Morrow. They wanted to ensure her sobriety. Would you have a problem with her having virtual visitation with the child while she is in rehab, if she's able to do that?
As long as it's okay with the court.
Okay. All right. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hill, any questions?
Ms. Francis or Ms. Mears, I apologize. I was sitting in the wrong waiting room, and so I appeared late. When was the last contact you had with Mr. O'Quinn?
It was the middle of March.
Okay. And at that contact is when he expressed that he'd still been using fentanyl?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Hamker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mears, I have several questions. One, I'm just to make sure I heard it correctly. You have no problems if the court agrees with virtual visits with the mother and the child. Is that correct?
While she's in rehab.
Okay. Isn't it true that the rules that the St. Francis provides to people who do visits does not have on it that they're not allowed to share photographs?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question, Mr. Hamker.
I didn't either.
Mr. Hamker, if you, I don't, you may not be facing your microphone. I'm having a hard time hearing.
Let me get over this way. Is that a little better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was facing the bigger screen. I apologize. Isn't it correct that the paper that you provided to Ms. Rodriguez only said there's not supposed to be any contact with the parents? It doesn't say that they can't provide them with a photograph.
Well, contact is any contact at all, sir.
Well, let me be specific. Is there anything on the rules that says they cannot provide a photograph to a parent?
It does not specifically say that, but contact is contact, sir.
Okay. Well, are you aware nobody told her that?
I can't speak to that. I didn't give her the paper.
Okay. Have you ever been to the visitation and watched Miss Rodriguez and the child?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you aware one way or the other as to whether or not the person supervising had no problems with her providing a photograph?
I can't speak to what the other person knows or feels.
Do you think the people who watch the visitation, that they know that distinction that you're arguing here in court?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation. She's already said she doesn't know what that person was thinking or saying.
Sustained. And we've got 30 minutes for this hearing, and I don't want to spend it all on a photo being provided to a parent.
Okay. Well, lastly, Ms. Mears, with respect to the child and the care, all right, you want the child to be safe, correct?
I do.
Okay. Other than, do you know of any problems that's taken place during the visits that she's visited with the child in the supervised context? Any at all?
I have not been made aware of any problems.
Okay. I would assume you would think that whoever's monitoring the visits would let you know if there was a problem. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Okay. Now, with respect to that you don't think she should have any unsupervised visits, is that because her husband is a felon?
That is part of the issue.
Okay. How many years did he serve in prison? Do you know?
No, I do not know.
Okay. With respect to the child in its current location, okay, are you responsible to make sure that that child is being taken care of properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know how many times Misty O'Quinn has been out of the city of Amarillo since January without the child?
Objection, Your Honor. I would like to ask objection to relevancy.
Overrule. You can answer if you know, Miss.
I don't know a specific number.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Do you know who the child is left with when she's out of town?
I do.
Who is she left with?
She's left with Brittany or another approved caregiver.
Have you done a background check on Brittany?
We have.
Okay. Is she on medication?
That's irrelevant.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance, whether or not she's on any current medications.
Sustained, and I don't know how she'd know what medications she's on. So sustained. Let's move on.
Do you know she has seizures?
Yeah.
That's relevant.
Objection.
Sustained.
You're not aware of any of the medical regarding either one of the caregivers, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. It's not relevant as to at this point.
Well, he's answered the question. You can answer that. You don't know, do you, Miss Mears?
I do not.
Okay, let's move on. Let's not ask her questions that you know that she would not know the answers to.
Well, would you agree with me that St. Francis should inquire as to whether or not any people who are taking care of a child in their custody has ever been turned down by a state agency for care, for providing care?
Objection, speculation, Your Honor. In relevance, I don't know where Mr. Hamker's got his information, but I don't know that. And I don't think that it's fair that he's asking questions of the St. Francis people on information that we don't know about.
Mr. Tane, that's what I said last objection. Let's not ask questions you know she's not going to know the answer to.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I thought she would know the answer to all those questions. If I found them out, I thought St. Francis would find it out.
Well, Mr. Hamker, if you're going to go down this path, we're going to have to go ahead and treat this as an initial permanency hearing, and you can reschedule the rest of the hearing on your motion for additional visitation, because we don't have the time today. That's all I'm saying.
Well, then, with respect to visitation for Ms. Rodriguez, if she's had no problems with visitation, do you have any problems with supervised visitations being increased?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any problems with increasing those visitations by 30 minutes on each time?
No, sir, but they would have to be earlier in the day because it's harder on Jax to go later. He cannot, it is not in his well-being to make the visits go later than what they already are.
Okay. I agree.
So they would have to start earlier.
You're aware that both of the grandparents would like to have the visits earlier, correct?
Yes.
Would you agree that it would be good then, from your comments, for the department in St. Francis to cooperate and move those visits earlier in the day so the child will not be tired and stressed?
I would agree to that.
Okay. Could you ask that maybe be implemented?
Yes. I would really require or request that the visitations be earlier in the day.
We agree. Now, with respect to unsupervised visits, could you rephrase for me are you scared that she might take the child home to be around her husband?
Well, there is a concern about the husband's criminal history. There's a concern of Ms. Rodriguez's protective capability, not only with the husband, but only her ability to, be protective against Ms. Morrow and Mr. O'Quinn. She's already proven that she did not do that in the past. She's already sending videos. She has shown that.
Well, in all fairness, you've agreed that that's not in the list of rules.
Again,
objection, Your Honor. That's not what she's agreed to. I mean, she's admitted that there was there's not a specific rule, but she's not admitted or agreed that Ms. Rodriguez didn't break the rules.
Sustain.
So even though there's not a specific rule, you don't agree that she has or hasn't broken a rule?
No contact is no contact.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right, Ms. Fouts.
Just one point of clarification, Your Honor. Ms. Mears, regarding Ms. Morrow's current admittance into a drug rehab facility, have you seen the letter provided by Mr. Jackson from Promises?
I have also gotten the letter.
Okay, is it true that the letter reflects that she was admitted on April 23rd of 2024?
I don't remember the exact date.
If I report to you that the letter reflects that she was admitted on April 23rd, is that 30 days in a rehab facility?
Oh, please don't get me to do math.
Is today 30 days from the date of April 23rd, 2024?
Well, Miss Morrow was in another rehab prior to going to the Promises. She transferred to the Promises after finishing 30 days at another rehab facility. The Promises finishes up the next 30-day stage.
Okay. Do you have certificates of completion for her first 30 days in rehab?
I do not yet.
Do you expect that those will come at some time?
I do.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else have further questions for Ms. Mears?
I have no further questions of Ms. Mears.
Mr. Albee, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I'll rest.
All right. Mr. Jackson, any witnesses?
No, sir.
Mr. Hill?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hamker?
Yes, Your Honor, I have two witnesses.
We're not going to be able to do it today then because we're past our time now. So let's just treat this as the permanency hearing. You can get with Haley and we will recess your motion and reschedule that at a later date. So do you have any questions regarding just the permanency hearing?
I have nothing on the permanency hearing other than we would request as for continuing, we get an extra hour a week.
Okay. All right. So no witnesses asked. Who's yes? Mr. Jackson.
I'll let you finish, Judge. I'm sorry.
Okay. So Mr. Hamker, be sure I'm clear. You don't have any questions involving the initial permanency hearing?
No, other than just with respect to the plan of St. Francis that, as Ms. Mears agreed, that she had no problem with additional time if it was scheduled earlier, and we agree with it.
All right. Okay. Then let's see. Mr. Ingram, any witnesses?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Fouts, any witnesses? As well, I don't guess it would be because you're really not here on the permanency hearing part of it. So I wouldn't want to hear any witnesses. You'll obviously be allowed to come back and present a witness if you want to when we reconvene on the issue of the additional visitation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, then, excuse me, Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue placement as is. Child's doing well in placement. I believe the visits should remain supervised, and if any additional time is allowed, that it be mandatory, that it be earlier in the day. And I think 30 minutes is more than enough. We're dealing with a 10, 11-month-old baby, and sitting in a 3 or 4 hour visit is not in that child's best interest.
Okay. Mr. Ingram, do you have well, let me ask you, Ms. Mears, I'm not sure, I'll be sure I understood this. You said that Ms. Morrow transferred from another drug rehab facility to Promises. Did she successfully complete the other? You said she stayed there 30 days. Was it a 30-day program?
Yes, it was, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay, give me just a second here.
Judge, and I don't have any objection to the mother having virtual visits. Again, I think we need to keep in mind the age of the child and how long that child needs to be on a Zoom or FaceTime.
Mm-hmm. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue Jack's current placement. I'm not gonna order that Ms. Morrow successfully complete Promises. She didn't even have to go to the first drug rehab. Ms. Morrow, I applaud you for doing that, and I hope you will stay with Promises, but you've done what most parents, if we can get them to go to inpatient rehab, you've already done what most parents do. So again, I won't order that because you've shown initiative on your own, but I would urge you to please stay in the program. So,
yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to just keep Mr. Rodriguez's visitation as it is now. Mr. Hamker, get with Haley. We'll get this rescheduled quickly to go ahead and finish hearing your motion and the objection to that motion. I will order, however, that if it's possible that the visitations for Jax be moved up earlier in the day. I didn't hear a lot of what's going on, but I think everybody seemed to be in agreement that it's stressful to him. So I'll order that if possible, those visits be moved up earlier in the day. And I will allow Ms. Morrow to have 30 minutes virtual visits weekly. I'm not limiting you, Ms. Morrow, because of anything other than the fact that keeping an 11-month-old looking at a virtual screen for 30 minutes will be tough enough. So, all right, I'll set the next permanency hearing for August 30th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearings, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket to see what time we'll have that hearing. And again, we will recess as to the motion filed by Mr. Hamker to enlarge visitation for Ms. Rodriguez. And of course, anyone who wants to respond to that will be welcome to do so when we reconvene. We'll send out an email to let everybody know when we're going to do that. Mr. Hamker, you don't necessarily have to call Haley. She may be contacting everybody to see if you're available, but we'll go ahead and just try to set that as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we will stand in recess on this case. I'll be back very shortly for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson, I believe, I don't see him back yet. He went to get his client. I guess his client's in the office with him. The father, Mr. Clerical, is alleged father, is not with us. And we'll wait to see if Ms. Hargesheimer is with Mr. Jackson, then we're ready to proceed. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Alicia Walker as its witness. And how old is the child?
She's a couple months old.
Okay. And you filed a court report on April 23rd of 2024. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of that court report.
All right, so noted, and I have read that report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Alicia, how is the child doing in her current placement?
She's doing really well. There were a few issues in the beginning with finding the right formula for her. She kept throwing up and was having digestive issues, but her caregiver has found a good formula that works for her, so she doesn't have those issues anymore, and she is a healthy baby.
That is great. And is she continuing in the same placement with her relative in Potter County?
Yes.
And is that placement making sure all of the child's physical and medical needs are being met?
Yes.
Alrighty. And is Ms. Hargesheimer having visitation with the child?
Yes, every week.
How are those visits going?
They're going good. There's no issues.
Okay. Can you give us some details on how they are going well?
Destiny's very interactive with Serenity. I'm not there to watch the visits. I'm just going off of what the worker who watches them has reported to me. But Destiny seems very interactive with Serenity and, takes good care of her during the visit.
Okay. And let's see here. And is Ms. Hargesheimer complying with your request for her to drug screen?
Yes. Except on April 17th, my parent support worker, Melinda Lambright, went to go take her to drug screen, but Destiny didn't want to go, claiming that she was sick.
Okay. Are we requesting that any drug screens be ordered today?
Yes, that would be, if that's what we need to do, yes.
What type of drug screens are we asking to be ordered?
Well, we wanted to, Care Express keeps messing them up. She needs a drug screen for alcohol and drugs, but the last time she went to get tested, they only did the alcohol, so we didn't get her drug results. So we wanted to do them separately and have her drug screen one day for alcohol and one day for drugs, so they don't keep messing it up.
Are we asking for both to be ordered?
Yes.
Both.
But I don't want the same mistake to happen.
Okay.
Do you want hair and UA and then on a separate day alcohol?
That could work, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does Ms. Hargesheimer have her own transportation?
She relies on her mom to take her most of the time, or she will ask me or her parent support worker. And if neither of us can take her, then we will put in a request for a transporter at St. Francis to take her.
Okay, so it sounds like St. Francis is helping Ms. Hargesheimer with transportation then, is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as the alleged father, what efforts have we made to locate him?
I've asked Destiny for any contact information. She says she doesn't have his phone number. She doesn't have him on social media. She's not sure how to spell his name. So I've tried to look him up on social media, but I'm not sure if we have the correct spelling for his name either. I haven't been able to find him. I've asked her mom and Crystal for any information, and they don't have any information either.
And does the department or St. Francis have enough information to run a search like Accurate?
No, we just have his name.
Have you created service plans in this case?
Yes.
And are those service plans the department's reasonable efforts to reunify?
Yes.
Are they reasonably tailored to the issues in the case?
Yes.
Can you briefly, or would you agree that the main issues are substance abuse and mental health?
Yes.
Can you please identify 2 or 3 services that are uniquely tailored for Ms. Hargesheimer?
She was requested to do an OSAR, random drug testing every month, parenting classes, individual counseling, and to follow up with her services at Texas Panhandle centers.
And the OSAR, is that a substance abuse assessment?
Yes, and she actually completed that on May 2nd.
Okay. And for Mr. Clarity, can you name 2 or 3 services uniquely tailored for Mr. Clarity?
We requested for him to do a paternity test if we were able to find him.
Okay, and what other services were added to his service plan?
Just that one.
And now you mentioned that Ms. Hargesheimer had already completed some services and that included the substance abuse assessment through OSAR. Is that correct?
Yes, she's also completed her parenting classes and her RBT class.
Okay.
And sorry. Her OSAR recommended that she do a substance use education class through the Padre program. So we wanted to make that part of her service plan as well.
Now, RBT, is that rational behavior therapy?
Yes.
And she has completed that along with the parenting class. Is that correct?
Yes.
So even though they're on her service plan, are we stipulating to the court that those 2 items are completed?
Yes.
And additionally, are we stipulating to the court that her initial substance abuse assessment through OSAR is completed as well?
Yes.
And are we asking for the recommendation that OSAR made the substance use education class through the STAR Parent Padre program be made an order of the court?
Yes.
And in regards to TPC, can you tell us specifically what we are asking the court to order Ms. Hargesheimer to do with TPC?
To follow up with the recommendations that Texas Panhandle Centers is giving her.
Okay. Are we also asking for an additional order to be added to the service plan for mother to continue her medication management and case management through psychiatric support at Texas Panhandle Services?
Yes.
And are we asking that she continue those until she is dismissed by the provider for successful completion?
Yes.
Are we asking any drug screens to be ordered for Mr. Clarity today?
No.
Let's see here. What is the current visitation that the mother is getting?
Every Thursday from 10 to 12. I believe I put the wrong time on her visitation plan. I originally put 11 to 1, but it's supposed to be 10 to 12.
And are those supervised?
Yes.
Now, with the child being removed for issues surrounding substance abuse and mental health, would you agree that Ms. Hargesheimer has not been able to, or not had time to fully address those issues?
Yes.
Would it be a danger, an immediate danger to the child's physical health and safety to be returned to the parent today?
Yes.
And would it be contrary to her welfare?
Yes.
Are there any additional orders that we are asking the court for?
No.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, as far as you were asked about the reason for the removal, would you agree that Ms. Hargesheimer is currently addressing those reasons for removal at this time?
Yes.
And you had mentioned the services that she is working. I don't think that I heard you mention anything about counseling. Has she got about 3 sessions of counseling under her belt now?
Yes, she has started counseling. She just hasn't finished yet.
Okay. And on the recommended classes that OSAR had for the substance education class, those are set up for Tuesday and Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes.
And has she scheduled for those since the recommendation's been made?
Yes, she's called the program to set that up.
Okay. And are you aware, Ms. Hargesheimer, that she has a physical condition where she has 5 herniated discs? Were you aware of that?
Yes, she told me this weekend that she went to the hospital for that.
Okay. And so she's kind of suffers with a fair amount of pain. Did she make you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And it's also my understanding that Ms. Argesheimer had provided you with a list of the prescriptions that have been prescribed to her. Is that correct?
Yes.
And if she is in fact going to go in for drug testing and the court orders that today, wouldn't you recommend that she take those prescriptions with her to show the testing facility what she is prescribed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And are you aware that I believe one of the prescriptions is a muscle relaxer? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Otherwise, has Ms. Argesheimer been cooperative with you?
Yes, she has.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, but I do have a couple of follow-ups for Ms. Walker.
Okay.
Ms. Walker, have you reviewed that service plan with Ms. Hargesheimer?
Yes.
And has she signed it?
Yes, she did.
However, without locating Mr. Clarity, is it correct you've been unable to do those same things with him?
Right.
No further questions for this witness.
All right. Anyone else? All right, then, Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. The department rests. We do ask for the drug screening for hair follicle and urinalysis to be ordered, and on a separate day for the alcohol test to be ordered for Ms. Hargesheimer. Additionally, we're asking for a finding of reasonable efforts to reunify made on behalf of the department, and creating the service plans for the parents, connecting the mother with services, providing transportation to services, and facilitating visitation.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Jackson, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Ingram, witness?
No witnesses.
Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue placement as is. Child's doing well in placement.
Okay, all right. All right, first of all, I will make the findings that were requested by Ms. Gutierrez. In addition, I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Serenity's current placement. I'll order the services for Ms. Hargesheimer and Mr. Clarity as contained in their service plans. I'm going to go ahead and order that Ms. Hargesheimer alcohol test by 4 p.m. today at Care Express. The alcohol test, my understanding is that they have to test relatively quickly. And then I'll order that she hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. on Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 at Care Express. I'm going to order the paternity testing. I don't know that I don't see that I did before, but I've heard the testimony about it. So I'll order the paternity testing for Mr. Clarity when he's located. I will order that Ms. Hargesheimer complete the Padre substance abuse class. I couldn't get all that down, the full name of it, but we know what we're talking about. And that she also continue the program and successfully complete the program that that was testified to at Texas Panhandle Centers. Stay in that program until she's successfully discharged. Okay, we'll have the initial permanency hearing, our next hearing on August 26th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. Ms. Archer is with us representing the mother, Ms. Trost. I don't show her in the waiting room. Mr. Barfield is not with us representing the father, Mr. Glass, who is also not with us.
Judge, this is Jeff Hill. I'm here for Mr. Glass, for Mr. Barfield, and then also for Jacob Trost in the other case.
Okay. All right then. Thank you. All right. So in the Glass case, we have everybody we need except for Ms. Trost, who is not with us.
And Judge, she did notify me this morning. She'll be doing her parenting class at this time. So she asked me to just represent her today.
Okay. All right. In the Trost case, Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Again, CASA is with us. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Hill is with us representing Mr. Trost, who is incarcerated. I saw he was. I guess he still is.
Yes.
No. All right.
No,
he's out.
He pled.
Okay. So
He's on probation.
Okay. So he's out of jail.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then Mr. Trost is not with us. He's not in the waiting room. Ms. Archer again is representing Ms. Trost in that case also, and she's not in the waiting room. Okay, the case was set for 10 o'clock. It's 10:03. We've got a full day, so we're going ahead and proceeding. in Ms. Trost's absence?
Judge, my advocate, Crystal Potts should be.
Okay, yeah,
the
she
record.
is. Well, I didn't know who she was. Thank you for bringing that up.
And then
Thank
Shay Carnes is the worker.
Carnes.
Thank you, Judge. And I did look it up, and he was released April 30th of 2024. So he just pled and was released.
Okay.
Mr. Faust. And I would call Shay Carnes. Judge, Ms. Carnes, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with St. Francis as a permanency specialist.
And where is Callie placed?
She is placed at a RTC in Houston.
And how is she doing in that placement?
She's doing well.
And can you update us on her education?
She's going to be getting her GED next month, and then she'll be turning 18 in July. And she just asked me, she said that she's used the link that was forwarded by Harry. I apologize. She was wanting to talk to you, Judge Graham.
Okay. I'll watch the waiting room.
Okay. I apologize. She was trying to get in.
That's fine. If she gets in because of our time constraints, we'll finish the hearing. If there's time left, I'll talk to her now. And if not, we'll schedule a time later today or whenever to talk for me to talk to her.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. And so Kylie turns 18 on June 27th.
Yes.
That sound right? And what are her intentions regarding staying in placement or care?
She wants to stay in extended care, but she wants to stay in the same area.
Okay. And in regards to that, have we been working with her on trying to find a placement that will accommodate her when she's 18?
The placement she's at right now, they have a separate SIL program for her, and she's already got a job lined up as well.
Great. Has she gotten a copy of her birth certificate?
Yes, we got that to her.
Now, in regards to Callie, how is she doing on all her medical needs?
She's doing well.
Okay. And she's not on any psychotropic medications, is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Now, in regards to the mother, in that case, Ms. Trost, how is she progressing in her services?
She still has some parenting classes to go through. I believe she's about halfway through. I checked last week and she was halfway through. She has not started a substance abuse program, but I think we're going to address that here shortly.
Okay. And has she...
Just for the record, Callie has joined us now. So.
And that's okay. Thank you, Judge. In regards to her residence and employment, where is she currently living?
At a hotel here in town.
And is she currently employed?
No, she's not.
Has she given any reason why as to why she cannot get a job?
She told me she couldn't find one.
And regarding her drug screen, she's been complying with going to drug screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
But she has been testing positive. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she given you any reasonable or any explanation at all for why she would be positive for methamphetamine?
No. She tells me she's not using, but.
Is she stated that anybody's using around her or in the area?
No.
And due to that, is OSAR not recommending any type of substance abuse because she's not having any admissions?
Yes, ma'am.
And are we asking for the judge to order an inpatient treatment for her due to her continued positive drug screens?
Yes, I think that would be best for her.
And she's not employed, so she wouldn't have any issue with having to get off work for that inpatient treatment?
No, ma'am.
Now, in regards to, have you talked to her about treatment?
I have.
And what has she said?
She told me that she couldn't because her son is needing her due to him having seizures. But he's working full time, so I don't know exactly why.
Okay, so he's working independently full time, but yet she says he's the reason why.
Yes.
Now, in regards to Mr. Glass, have you had contact with him?
I have not. Sorry. He told me that he was not going to do the services. I mean, Callie's almost 18 and they don't have a relationship. So that's where he is right now.
Okay. Is he open to having a relationship with her if she wants to reach out to him later on?
Yes, he's open to it. It's just up to her.
And if he's out of state, is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Now, in regards to the other case, how are those children doing in their placement?
They're doing well. They have their days where they want to go home. I mean, they're little. Lane has been having some outbursts, but he's a little boy, so I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary.
Okay, and they're on medication. Is that being monitored every 30 days?
Yes, it is.
And in regards to visitation, what type of visitation are they having right now with their mother?
They have weekly and it's 1 hour.
And is that in person?
Yes.
And are we asking that visits, that the judge make a determination regarding visits due to the information today?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in regards to Callie, is she having visits with her mother?
Not at this time. I was working on getting supervised visits by either the placement or our worker that does the visits with her siblings.
And now it is asked in here, I know they wanted to do an in-person visit between Callie and the younger siblings. Is that something we're working on for the summer?
Yes, I just have to find somewhere that she can stay, or if she can stay with placement while she's here. That way they'd have the supervision.
Okay. And let's see. Regarding Mr. Trost, have you had any contact with him since he's been released?
I have not.
And had you met with him previously and told him that if he was released that he needed to contact St. Francis?
Yes, ma'am.
And while he was incarcerated, was he given a copy of his service plan?
He was.
Are we requesting any drug screens for the dad today?
I would like to, yes.
Okay, both hair and UA to get a baseline?
Yes, please.
Do you believe it would be contrary to the child's welfare to be returned home to any parent today?
Yes.
And do you think it would be a continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the children to return to any parent today?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Carnes, I think you answered this. The CPS report I read said that Callie was in a group home in Fort Bend, and the CASA report said the RTC in Houston. She's in the RTC at Houston, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Empower?
Okay. And
I'm sorry.
you said, sorry, somebody, and that will it be the RTC in Houston that she can stay in once she turns 18?
They have a separate program, I believe, that they're opening.
Am I allowed to ask these questions?
I'm sorry, what?
Am I allowed to answer these questions?
We'll get to you, Callie, and you came in late. Mr. Ingram said you wanted to visit with me. We may have to schedule that for later today because we're already behind. We've got a full day of court, but I'll get to you here in a bit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it kind of, Ms. Carnes, is it kind of program where she'll have to either be in school or working to stay in that program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't know what that's called, but I'm familiar with it. So,
yes.
All right, Ms. Archer.
Ms. Cairns, has my client, Brittany, has she told you that Tyler Resource Center is helping her get a job?
She told me last week that she was working on that.
Okay. And is she the sole caretaker of her older son when he's home?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know anything about the kind of seizures that he has?
No, I do not.
So Ms. Trost has explained that the reason she doesn't want to do inpatient rehab is that she cares for him when he gets home from work. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So would it be possible for her to do be ordered to outpatient treatment instead so that she could get home in time for her son?
I believe the inpatient would be better for her. I mean, he works 8 hours a day and then comes home. I don't.
If he had a seizure though, after his work, there'd be no one to look to help him. Is that right?
I object to speculation.
Sustained.
Are outpatient drug treatments also beneficial though?
They can be.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Let's see. Mr. Barfield still has not joined us.
Mr. Hill, I believe, was sitting for.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Mr. Hill, you're covering for him too. So you're up, Mr. Hill.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Ingram.
Jay, with regard to children, they're placed locally at High Plains Children's Home. Is it true that High Plains needs documentation on those kids from mom that you're having trouble getting?
Yes, the birth certificates.
Okay. I also need Social Security cards and shot records if the mother has them. Do you believe that it would be in the children's best interest for the court to order Brittany Trost to turn over those kids?
Yes, sir.
Security cards, birth certificates, and shot records.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ingram, someone else was talking. I've got birth certificates and shot records. What was the other one?
Social Security card.
Okay, thanks.
And Shay, on Callie's case, I know one of her big concerns is trying to get the phone contact set up with her mother and her adult brother. Can you tell us where you are in being able to get that set up?
I was speaking with her placement about them supervising it. That way she could call them, about once a week. And then I have talked to also the other worker that's doing her siblings visits to do video calls. We're working on it.
Okay, so is her placement willing to supervise those calls or video visits?
Yes.
Okay. She was also concerned about having visits with her siblings. That's been rather inconsistent, and she would like that to be weekly. Is that something you're also working on?
Yes, I'm working on that one. The children have days where they don't want to talk to her, and we're working on that. I've told them that it's mandatory and that they need to talk to her, because she misses them. But I think that there's an outside influence from mom about them calling and talking to her. So I think they feel bad.
Would you believe it to be in all the children's best interest if the mother be ordered not to discuss the Trost children's visits with Callie?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Pass witness.
Anyone have further questions?
Just one question, Judge. Ms. Cox, how old is the older sibling or the older brother to Callie? The one mom is living with?
I think he's
18. No, he's 19.
Yeah, he just turned 19.
No other questions, Judge.
Anyone else?
Judge, I have a question.
Okay.
Ms. Cairns, did Brittany Trost tell you that she doesn't have shot records because it was against her family's belief to give shots?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Also, did she tell you she lost those Social Security cards when she moved from Florida?
No, she did not.
Okay. And did Callie get her own birth certificate when she was in Florida or Nebraska?
I was just able to send that to her.
Okay, no further questions.
Anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Ms. Archer, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
Mr. Hill?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ingram?
Judge, I'm not sure if Callie wanted to visit with you in private or if she's comfortable just talking to you in open court. If she is comfortable with talking to you, I would just tender her to the court for any questions you might have of her.
Okay. Callie, we can either just talk here, or if you're not comfortable with that, I've got a full docket today. I'll be through probably sometime around 3 or so. We can visit later in the afternoon, or you can tell me what you want to tell me now. It's strictly up to you.
Yes, sir. You guys already answered two of my questions. It was visits with my mom and my brother, and then coming to see the kids in June. What is the process on my SIL?
I'm not. You're breaking up, Callie. I'm getting about every other word. Can you hear Amy? Okay, maybe it's me. If you'll maybe talk slower.
Yes, I'm sorry. You were on my headphones, so that's probably why. You guys already answered two of my other questions, which was about the visitations with my mother and my brother, and then coming to see the three younger ones in June. My only other question was, what's the process on my SIL form?
I don't even know what that is, so Ms. Carnes is going to have to answer that.
Yes, I'm working on it, Callie. It should be there by end of day today. Okay.
Did you say SIL?
Mm-hmm.
SIL? Y'all are both talking. Yes. Okay. And Ms. Carnes, is that what I was asking you about earlier? That's the program where she can enter that and stay where she's at. I know that it'll be in a different program, but that she has to either be going to school or working.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
I would also, yes, I'm so sorry. I would also like to note that I am working full time as well.
Oh, you are now?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. I thought I'd heard that you were currently not working. So that's great. And Callie, you're on track to get your GED by the time you turn 18?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna start taking my test this month. That was one of my other questions. How do I get the funds to pay for that? Do I pay for it, or
No, you don't pay for it. The department or St. Francis, one or the other pays for it. You don't pay for anything.
Okay, and who do I contact about that? St. Francis?
I would say so. Miss Wiggins is saying yes. Miss Carnes is, and she talked to you about it.
We can talk about it, Callie.
Yes,
I'll call
ma'am.
you this evening, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, y'all were rattling off so many orders you want, but let me ask, Callie, are you on any kind of medications now?
Nothing other than birth control.
Okay, all right. So we don't need to talk about your meds. So you basically have control over what medications you take because you're about to turn 18. So we don't need to discuss that if you're not on any kind of psychotropics. That's good to hear. Okay, then.
Judge, you might want to ask her about prom.
Ask her what?
You might want to ask her about prom. We heard she had a very successful prom date.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I did attend prom.
Good. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know what Mr. Ingram means by successful date. I'm not sure I want to know.
I just thought I'd embarrass her for fun.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I need Miss Wiggins, you or someone can clarify.
Yes, sir.
Are you asking for inpatient for both mother and Callie?
No, just mom. Yeah.
Okay.
No, Callie has no issues.
Okay. I was wondering that. So
No, she has no issues at all.
good. I'm glad I'm sure she's happy that I asked that question.
Yeah, she's doing wonderfully.
Okay, let me kind of try to get caught up and y'all can tell me what I'm missing. Did we need to order the mother to turn anything over as concerns Callie or just children?
No, it appears that Callie did get her birth certificate. I think that was the only thing that we had an issue with. So just for the younger children.
And Judge, she emailed me this morning, the mother did, and said she does not have the children's birth certificates or social security cards or shot records.
Okay, well, what I'm going to order is if she doesn't have them, that she'll cooperate with the department to obtain them. She may have to be the one that requests them. I don't know, but I've heard that in other cases. So if she doesn't have them, I'm going to order that she cooperates. All right, let's talk about Callie's case first. I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue her current placement. Give me just a minute. I'm going to get the rest of this in.
And Judge, I know you're writing, but I didn't know if you wanted CASA's recommendation.
Yeah, I will. I'm trying to make some sense of this before we go any further.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. As far as back to Callie's case, in addition to what I've already said, I'm going to order that Callie have weekly virtual visits with her mother. And then I'm going to order that Callie have virtual visits with her siblings. I'm going to say weekly, but I heard some testimony that sometimes maybe the kids don't want it. So I'm going to say if all agree. I don't know how old these other children are. But if everyone's in agreement, I'm going to order that she have virtual visits with them weekly, and that I think you're already working on this. I'll order that she have an in-person visit with her siblings over the summer. Again, if they choose to. I don't know what's going on there, but I will certainly order it. All right. Have I missed anything in Callie's case?
I didn't know if you wanted to order the mom to do any type of treatment.
Oh, yeah. Has she OSAR'd?
She has, but due to her not making any admissions, they won't order anything.
All right, then, based on what I've heard, then I'm going to order that she attend inpatient, successfully complete inpatient treatment. In this case, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue those kiddos' current placements. Again, I'll order the weekly. No, I'm sorry, that's a different case. I was about to repeat myself. I'll order that in that case also that Ms. Tross successfully complete an inpatient drug treatment program, and I will order that Ms. Tross cooperate with St. Francis and/or the department in obtaining children's social security cards, birth certificates, and any shot records that may exist. Based on what I heard, that there may be some aversion to shot records, they may not exist. Ms. Carnes, I'm just curious, if you don't have shot records for children, how are at least the two oldest children, how are they in school?
They received their shots. I didn't know about any religious or beliefs against shots. So they got their shots for the year.
So do you need shot records or?
We have like just the basic, what they get before school, but I don't have a history of them.
Okay. All right. So my order will stand that she cooperate with the department in St. Francis to obtain any shot records that may exist. We'll just have to see whether or not they do exist.
We did ask for the father to be UA
Oh.
and hair follicle.
Okay. Mr. Hill, have you had any contact with Mr. Trost?
Judge, not for about 3 weeks, so that
Okay.
explains why I didn't know he was out.
Okay, all right. All right, then I will order that Mr. Trost both hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Care Express in Amarillo. All right, then, in both cases, our next hearing will be the final hearings. Both of them will be set for June 17th, 2024. Parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time we will have that hearing.
And Judge, I did want to ask for the finals to be set July 15th due to some conflicts that we had. I know that Callie doesn't turn 18 until June 27th. And so we wanted her to be able to go to extended foster care. And so that's why we wanted to push back the final in that case. I know for sure.
So we still want to do them together and set them both for July. What'd you say?
July 15th. And I believe, I know Miss Archer had some vacation, but I believe that's in her time frame where she's available. I don't know about Mr. Hill.
Yes, I'm going to put a vacation letter in, but it won't include July 15th.
Okay, good.
And
I was
that
gonna
works
say,
that works with our calendar too, Judge.
I was going to say, Mr. Hill, you could tell Mr. Barfield he's going to have to cover for you if you were tied up. So
There you go. Yep.
what's
Is there
good for
any
you,
chance we could do afternoon?
Haley?
Courtney?
Yes, I will put a note in here to set that one in the afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
And is it literally afternoon? Like, so
I
one
have to be in
okay.
Ochiltree at 10, so
I don't know what that means. I don't know how far away.
it's 2 hours away.
Okay.
Well, then the afternoon works for you anyway, right?
Yeah, afternoon's better for me.
Yeah, sure.
It'll take me 2 hours to get back, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just last on the docket.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
Yeah. Everybody will get noticed by email when we're
Thank you.
gonna set it for that day. All right. Let me get back on my feet here.
And does anyone have contact information for Mr. Trost now that he's out? If you do, could you either email it to me or just put it in the chat?
We will do that if we have it.
Thank you.
All right, then we will stand in recess on this case. I show our next case. Is that you, Mr. Smith? Related cases.
Sir? Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right,
I'm still having figures with my construction of the electronics and whatnot. I'm not very familiar with cell phones, as you say.
You're fine right now. I can hear you and you can hear us, so we're good right now.
Sir, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call 2 related Randall County cases. I don't know if I've already done this. Amy? Have I called both cases?
Case, and then you got off on.
Let's just start. I'll call 2 related Randall County cases. Permanency hearing. In that case, Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. CASA is with us. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the children. Ms. Archer's with us representing the mother, Ms. Curtis, who is with us. And Ms. Mellanax is with us representing the father, Mr. Smith, who is with us. For the record, the girls had asked that I visit with them. So I visited with Gwen and Evan, along with Mr. Ingram, Ms. Orr, and our 2 CASAs. We visited before I called this case. So that's just for the record. I will also call cause number 8, also on a permanency hearing. In that case, again, Ms. Wiggins for the department, CASA with us, Mr. Ingram representing girls, Ms. Archer again representing Ms. Curtis, who is with us, and Mr. Williams, I've been told, is still incarcerated. Ms. Christie, his attorney, withdrew. She's taken another job where she can no longer have private practice. We have appointed Vince Nowak to represent Mr. Williams. However, I don't believe he's been informed yet. So we'll go ahead with today's hearing, and I've already announced if Mr. Nowak has a problem that he was not allowed to attend for Mr. Williams, I will consider a motion for rehearing on these 2 hearings. So, okay, I don't have anyone in the waiting room, so Ms. Wiggins, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I call Abigail Lawrence. Older 2 girls. Where are they currently placed?
They are placed with their maternal step grandparents in Alvin, Texas.
And how are they doing in that placement?
They're doing well.
And is the placement able to take care of all of their educational, medical, and dental needs?
Yes, they are.
Are they also in counseling?
Yes, they are.
And how are they doing in school?
They're both doing well in school.
And
Ready
do they?
for summer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ready for the summer.
Always. And so, are they enjoying the school in Alvin, Texas?
Yes.
And do they both agree that they prefer it to their old school?
Yes.
Now, in regards to the mother in this case, how is she on her services, completing on her services?
Anna is still working on her services.
Okay. And can you please state which services she's still working on?
She's working on her parenting classes and family therapy.
Now, in regards to the parenting classes, is she working on those? She just hasn't finished those?
That's correct. She was attending parenting classes at Hope Choice. She switched to an online course called Prep to Parent, and it looks like a really informative course that she can take. She's working on being able to get certificates from it right now.
Okay. And regarding her visitation with the two girls, what is that like right now?
It's every other Friday virtually for 1 hour. However, the girls did request that they do that weekly. So I've reached out to the worker that does their every other week visits to see if he would have some time to fit in weekly. If not, I will request another worker.
Okay, so we're in the process of increasing that due to the children's request.
Yes.
And how are those visits going?
They're going well.
And in regards to the father, Mr. Smith, how is he? He's in a different state, is that correct?
Yes, he is in Illinois.
And does he have access to programs for him to complete?
Yes, he does.
And has he been able to complete any so far?
He has not completed any so far. The biggest issue is he is in Illinois, and so I rely solely on communication with him, and it is very off and on, which makes it hard to get these services completed.
Is he having any visitation with the girls?
Yes, he has weekly virtual visits for an hour.
And are those visits going okay?
Yes.
And do the girls indicate that they want to continue those?
Yes.
Now, in regards to Miss Curtis, do we have any recent concerns that the department has regarding her ability to protect the children?
Yes, we did do a hair follicle drug screen on Anna in March, and it was positive for marijuana. So because of that, we were asking that she do another OSAR.
Okay. And what treatment did she have in a previous OSAR?
12-week outpatient.
Now, in regards to Miss Curtis and her contact with Mr. Williams, what is your understanding regarding that contact?
Anna's expressed to me that they are not in contact and haven't been since around Thanksgiving of last year.
And when was the last time? Oh, sorry, Judge, can you let Miss Brown back in? I think she got kicked out. I apologize. When was the last time you had a conversation with Miss Curtis about her contact with Mr. Williams?
I'm unsure the exact date. I do see Anna weekly, and we don't discuss it every week.
Okay. Has it been since the birth of the baby?
Talk about it. Yes, I believe
And
so.
how have, I'm sorry.
I believe so.
Now, in regards to children, how are they doing?
The boys are doing really, really well.
And where are they placed?
With their paternal grandmother in Amarillo.
And how are, what are visits like for the mom and the children?
Every other week in person on Friday for 2 hours.
Okay. And did those visits, are they going well?
Yes.
And are all the children's needs being met in that placement?
Yes, they are.
And it does appear that the children are on medications. Are all those medications being reviewed every 30 days?
Yes.
And for the two older girls, has it been discussed with them that they have a say in their medications and that they understand that they have a say?
Yes.
And have you talked to them about how they feel about their medications?
Yes, I have. And they both say they feel good on their medications, and they know that they can talk to their psychiatrist if they feel like it should be adjusted.
And it does look like the only medication is for the younger child, and that's a allergy medication. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and in regards to that case, have you had an ability to communicate with Mr. Williams, the father?
Yes, I have.
Has he been able to complete any services while he's in TDCJ?
He has completed parenting classes.
And are you aware if that's the only thing that he has an option to complete, or if that's just the only thing he has completed?
That's the only thing he has completed so far.
And is the department asking for mediation in these two cases?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the Williams case, are we also asking for that OSAR to be ordered for mom on that case as well?
Yes.
Judge, I apologize for interrupting, but Vince Nowak is in the waiting room. I sent him an email.
Okay. Did you contact him just a few minutes ago?
Yes, at the beginning of this hearing.
Okay.
And I can re-ask the questions about Mr. Williams, Judge, if you'd like me to.
We'll see what he wants to do.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. I appreciate you showing up. We realized that we just substituted you for Miss Christie, and I understand you just now found out about it.
I just now found out it's always a little bit disconcerting when I hear my name going on YouTube in the background. I'm like, where am I supposed to be? I watched some of it, Judge. I'm here on behalf of Axton Williams. Obviously, he's incarcerated, but
Mr. Nowak, yeah, he's incarcerated. I don't know what you missed, but I've already told everybody when we're through, if you want to ask for a rehearing, we'll gladly give you the rehearing. Basically, all I've heard so far about Mr. Williams today is he's doing an 8-year sentence, and that he's completed one service. What was it?
Parenting.
Parenting classes. And I guess my only question to the caseworker would be, what else is he eligible for while incarcerated? But I don't think it's my turn to ask questions yet, Judge.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
What? I'm not even sure who is it Stacy?
It's Abigail Lawrence.
I'm looking around okay.
If you wave at me.
I see you, ma'am. What else can he complete while incarcerated?
There's a cognitive thinking program or class that he's on the waiting list for. He's waiting to get for that to restart. And then he also has his name down for various religious classes in there. He said that he has seen a therapist. He doesn't go regularly, but he has seen a therapist in there too.
Okay. And did I hear that he's doing an 8-year sentence?
Yes.
And I apologize for my ignorance. Where are we in terms of this case? I know you got a year to complete services, and every now and then, under extraordinary circumstances, you might get another 6 months. How far along are we in this case? What hearing are we at?
I can tell you that the TMC date was July 17th of 2023, and we've had the adversary, the status. We had an initial permanency hearing in January, and this is our first regular permanency hearing.
Okay. I just wanted to get a feel for where we are. And Abigail, you are working with Axton Williams on whatever services he can complete while incarcerated?
Yes.
In other words, you're in touch with him?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. With my limited knowledge, I believe that's all the questions I have.
All right, thank you. And I sympathize with you, but trying to find Abigail. I tell everybody it's like the old Hollywood squares. I'm constantly looking to see where people are. So I sympathize with you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So let's see, Ms. Wiggins, have you finished your questioning?
No, I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, then we'll back to Ms. Wiggins.
I do not have very many more, Judge. My question would be, would it be contrary to all of the children's welfare to be returned to either parent or any parent today?
Yes.
And would it also be a continuing danger to return either child or any 4 of the children home to any of the parents today?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Judge. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Lawrence, are we asking for any drug screens for any parents?
Yes. UA for Anna, since we just hair follicled her, and then UA and hair follicle for Randall.
Randall Smith?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Archer.
Yes, and on the date that you said that the mom came back positive, was that a lab test on April 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was that a That was a hair screen, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that the mother, well, what did she tell you about that positive result?
She was very surprised at the result.
Did she tell you that she was going back to the same lab to have that redone?
She went to Prime Medical, I believe, to get it done.
And she paid for another one herself?
She did.
Okay, and have you seen that result?
I did.
Okay, and it was negative, correct?
Correct.
So do you think there could be a mistake in that first drug screen?
I object to speculation.
Sustained.
Okay. Did you see the result on the page that said negative for marijuana?
I did.
Okay. Does that change your mind about her needing another OSARC then?
No, I'm not an expert in or have any hand in the drug screens that they take, and I go off the results that I was given.
Okay. But now you have a positive and then you have a negative, correct?
Correct.
And those were only how many days apart? 11 days apart?
Judge, I'm going to object. This is not into evidence. I don't know if she understands or knows when the other test was.
Yeah, she could, if she doesn't, you can say you don't know the other test when it was done, Miss Lawrence, if you don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Before I forget, let me ask anybody, I don't know, Miss Lawrence, if you know, but does St. Francis or the department contract with anybody except Care Express here?
Yeah, we contract with Prime Medical Testing as well.
Okay. And would this most recent positive UA for Miss Curtis, was it at Care Express or Prime?
The hair follicle positive was at Prime or Care Express. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right, then, Ms. Mullinax, any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Lawrence, you said that Mr. Smith hasn't completed any of his parent or any of his family plan. He's currently enrolled in Fatherhood Fire. Is that correct?
Correct.
And is he actively participating in that?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. It says you're receiving notes on his progress. When were the last notes that you received?
I don't know the exact date. It was last month when I reached out.
Okay. And you also said that he's on a waiting list at the Institute of Human Resources for a psychosocial evaluation and for counseling. Is that right?
Correct.
Have you checked with the Institute of Human Resources to see where he's at on that waiting list?
I have not.
And so we don't know how long that waiting list is, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you have on here that you have, I guess you have difficulty communicating with him. Does he tell you about his phone service?
Yes, he does.
Has he indicated anything to you about his phone service previously?
Yes.
And what was that?
His phone had broke, and then there was a couple of months where his phone was turned off.
All right. And so right now at this point, are you in contact with him?
No, I reached out last week and didn't get a response back.
Do you have a courtesy worker in Illinois, or how does it work in Illinois?
I don't have a courtesy worker in Illinois.
So it's just you making contact with him personally and not through any other sources, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said that the visits go well with the children?
Yes. There's sometimes that Evan doesn't want to participate, but Guinevere participates each time.
Pass the witness.
All right. We've had Mr. Nowak, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. Anyone have follow-ups for Ms. Lawrence?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, any other witnesses?
I call Anna Curtis.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Curtis, when was the last time you spoke with Axton Williams?
It was a few months ago when he gave me a call asking for numbers for his grandmother.
Okay, so you have not sent him any photographs of the new baby?
I have, but I wasn't sure that they'd ever actually gotten to him.
Okay, but you have been sending him images of the baby, is that correct?
Yes.
And you sent images of yourself too, is that right?
Yes.
And you have sent communication indicating that you love him and that you hope he got the 2 photos.
Yes.
Now, in regards to the is there a previous order for the two children out of a different state? Let me ask it a different way. Is Mr. Smith ordered to pay child support?
No.
Okay, so is there any previous order out of any other state naming him the father or ordering him to pay child support?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Ms. Archer.
Ms. Curtis, did you go drug screen on April 11th?
I did.
And where did you go?
I went to Care Express, the same place I've been going.
Okay, and why did you decide to repeat that drug test?
Because I haven't had anything since September 27th.
And have you seen the result of that drug test?
I did.
And I know you can't interpret the result, but did it say positive or negative?
My result that came back was negative.
I'd ask the court to admit. I didn't mark it, but I did e-file it, Judge, for the parties to see. Can I enter that into evidence?
If it's been filed, I guess I could just take judicial notice of it.
Thank you, Judge. Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll do that. We've talked about it enough. So.
Okay, thank you. And have you been around anyone who's smoking marijuana, Ms. Curtis?
I have not.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Mullinax?
No questions.
Mr. Nowak?
No questions, Judge.
Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, any other? Huh?
Sorry, I was just going to ask her an initial question.
Okay.
Ms. Curtis, the drug test that you took for St. Francis, that was a random test. They called you that day and you had to go that day. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the drug test that you took, you obviously decided what day you were going to take that one. Is that correct?
I decided the same day that she told me that drug test came back positive, I went that same day.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. Ms. Wiggins, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right. Ms. Archer, witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right. Ms. Mullinax, witnesses?
Briefly call Randall Smith.
Okay. Let me ask real quick, so I don't get out of order. Mr. Nowak, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
Okay. All right, then. Let me find Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, thank you. If you'd raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do not lie, sir. Yes, sir. I give you my word. I will give you that.
Okay, a simple yes would have done. So, all right, you may proceed.
Randall, the permanency report states that you've had inconsistent contact with the department. Have you had problems having contact with your worker?
Yes, I have. I've had some slight issues with the service, the signal, the phone. Yeah, there's been a couple of situations, but no less, yes, I have had some issues.
Okay. And with regard to the fatherhood fire program, are you participating in that at this time?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I'm actually enjoying it, honestly.
How many times have you attended that?
I attend that once a week, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know how much longer you have in that program?
They told me something about it could last 6 months. They said also as well that it could last even longer. But the question is whether or not you're willing to deal with it. Again, I've had some slight issues with the connections. Yeah, I've missed a couple of sessions, but I do plan on replacing all of this. The one most recent, it was just because I had a slight internet connection issue. And that was just because we had to pay the Wi-Fi. No less. It is all in order.
And how long have you been attending Fatherhood Fire?
I've been doing that, I want to say now about 6 weeks or so.
All right. And are you on the waiting list at the Institute of Human Resources for a psychosocial and for counseling?
Yes, ma'am, I sure am. I'm on the waiting list. I'm just waiting for them to call me. And then as soon as I respond, I should have that option. But at the same time, it's not until I'm able to respond and they're able to have me. So, but yes, I am on the waiting list.
Do you know how long that waiting list is or no?
There is no ideal. I mean, they told me themselves, we're going to call you. And if you answer us, then we'll put you on the list. But at the same time, you know, and I can show anybody my phone records. I can submit anything. I do not have them having called me recently. So yes.
Well, I'm not asking if they've called you. I'm just asking if you know how where you are on the list. If you don't, then no, right?
No, I don't know where I'm at on the list, but I am on the list.
Okay. Is there anything else your worker with St. Francis can do to help you that hasn't been offered or you haven't asked for yet?
Not that I know of, honestly. I mean, no, there's no issues here. I'm trying to do it, but again, like she stated earlier, we're in 2 different states and she has to correlate just to make sure that it'll work. I want to do anything I can, though. I'm trying to fix this all for everybody because the fact that I know I can fix things, but I still have to wait.
Mr. Smith, you've answered the question, please.
I pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, questions for Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith, do you have transportation to go drug screen today?
No, ma'am, I do not. I can make transportation happen, but no, I do not have regular transportation because all of the test facilities are out of town. And I live in Pontiac. I don't really have transportation.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Archer?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Nowak?
No questions, Judge.
Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
Okay. All right, anyone else have any other questions for Mr. Smith? All right, then.
Sir, can I ask you for one more moment just for the mic? Just because the fact that everyone needs to know my new phone number. I have a new phone number. Things changed.
Let me stop you there. You're on your phone, aren't you, Mr. Smith?
Sir? Yes, sir.
I don't know. I've never been on the phone to do these. Can he chat from his phone?
I don't know if I can do that.
Let's do this, Mr. Smith. You give that number to Miss Mullinax. No, don't do it now. We're live on YouTube. You don't want your phone number going out on YouTube. Trust me.
Okay.
If you'll just give it to Miss Mullinax, she can email it to all the parties and to the court.
All right, I can do that.
Okay. All right. We can do that after the hearing. Okay. All right then. Sure. If no one has any further witnesses, then Mr. Ingram, recommendations.
Yes, sir. In the Williams case, recommend that the department continue as temporary managing conservator. Placement continue as is. Boys are doing well with the grandmother. In the Smith case, also recommend that department continues temporary managing conservator. Continue girls' placement where it is. Would ask that you order and believe it to be in their best interest that they have weekly telephone or virtual visits with their mother, and further believe it to be in their best interest that the previously court-ordered family therapy be conditioned upon a recommendation from their individual therapist that it be in their best interest.
Okay. All right. And CASA.
The girls are doing fantastic with their placement. They are both doing really good in school. They are very, very interested in art, and that tends to be what our main conversations are about. They both love it and are very, very good artists. If y'all ever get the chance to see, it's amazing. The boys are doing very good with their grandma. I have no concerns with them. We do second Mr. Ingram that the family therapy be when the girls' therapists say that they're ready for that, and that those visits with mom get moved to weekly since that's what the girls would like.
Okay. All right then. I don't know if I announced this before or not, but I know I announced that I visited with Gwen and Evan with their attorneys and CASA before this started. I don't know that I announced that they chose to stay in and just listen to this hearing. So just for the record, they have attended this hearing. All right, now I'm going to ask a question before I forget to ask it. I don't know who can answer this. Can Randall Smith attend a mediation virtually?
Yes, Judge, we've been doing them by Zoom as well. And so I know we've been e-signing and all of those things. So yes.
Okay, so and that can be done at the DRC. They'll do it virtually.
Yes, they've been doing them by Zoom, and that has allowed us to get TDCJ. We can have actually inmates sometimes if the obvious facility will comply. But I do know that we can try to do that too.
Okay, great. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you.
And Judge, we've had private attorneys also do them by Zoom. So I don't know if that matters to you or not either.
My standing rule, and it will certainly apply in this case too, if the attorneys think an attorney mediator would be beneficial, you have to get permission from the referring court, which would be Judge Martindale. And you'll probably want to know what the lawyer's going to charge. So I always leave it up to the referring court if we're going to do it that way, so that they can be sure and approve the higher fees. So that's always up to the lawyers. I'm good either way. So, Okay, then. I think this is another one. I hope I get everything. If I miss something, let me know. I'm going to start with the Smith case. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the girls' current placements. I'll order that those girls have weekly virtual visits with their mother. I'm going to order that Ms. Curtis undergo or she submit to a UA drug screen. This time it will be by 4 p.m. today, if possible. I know we're not at noon yet. That will be at Prime instead of Carrot Press. Then I will order that she undergo a second OSAR assessment and follow any recommendations, but that will only be if her UA today comes back positive. If it comes back negative, I'm not going to order her to undergo a second OSAR. As has been mentioned, I'm going to order that the previous order of this court, that the in the Smith case, to start family counseling, I'm going to put that on hold and ask for recommendations from the Smith children's counselors before we start that family counseling. I will order the mediation, as I said, in that case under what I just announced. All right. In the Williams case, I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue their current placements. I'll order again that Ms. Curtis submit to a UA drug screen at Prime by 4 p.m. today, and I will order that she undergo a second OSAR assessment and follow recommendations only if the UA that's going to be taken at Prime today comes back positive. And again, I'll order mediation in that case also. Okay, have I missed anything that y'all can think of?
No, Your Honor, that's everything I had.
Okay, great.
Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. We did order well, it's up to you whether or not to order Mr. Smith. I know he's in Illinois.
Yeah, and I'll order Mr. Smith submit to a hair strand and UA drug screen. I'm not going to put a time limit on it because I don't know when and if he could do it, and I don't know if the department can pay for it. Sounds like if the department can't pay for it, I'm not sure Mr. Smith could.
And I believe we have paid for it in the past.
Okay.
Sure, we can pay for it. We just would
Okay.
need his zip code to know where the closest testing site is.
Okay, let's just
Exactly.
give Mr. Smith, give both your phone number and your zip code or your full address. Give that to Ms. Mullinax and she can forward it to all of us. And I'm sure someone will be in touch with you about the drug test.
All right, we can do that.
Okay, in both cases, I'll set a final for July 8th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of July 8th to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing.
And Judge, it was my understanding you had a conference on the 8th.
I do.
And so we had,
Yes, sir. We moved it. There's been an order that, Courtney, do you have that?
July 15th.
Okay. That the day we set these others earlier today?
That's correct, Judge, and I will make the note to set it in the afternoon for Miss Archer's schedule as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so final will be on July 15th instead of July 8th. And everybody can go on the court's online docket to see what time it is. For those of you that weren't involved, Miss Archer had a commitment in the morning, so it will be, I can tell you now, it will be sometime in the afternoon. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Miss Archer is with us representing the father, Mr. Gutierrez, who is with us. Ms. Gutierrez, the mother, is with us. Her attorney, Mr. Pertle, is not with us. We've got a full day set, so we're going to have to go ahead and proceed. I'll watch the waiting room. Ms. Wiggins, who's going to be your witness?
That would be Nerdy, I can never say her last name, Ag in Graney?
Yeah.
Graney?
That's why I asked who your witness was.
I'm sorry.
Either, so I put it on you.
I'm sorry.
We'll
I'm
get
horrible
her
with names. Thank you. Thank you, Judge. I call Miss Ingrani.
Okay.
And where's the child currently placed?
A foster home.
And how is he doing in that placement?
He's doing really well and he's thriving.
Is he having visitation with his parents?
Yes, ma'am.
And how are those visitations going?
Very good.
And in regards to services, have you created a service plan for each parent?
Yes.
Have you been able to go over the service plans with Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she appear to understand the services requested of her?
Yes.
And did she sign the service plan?
Yes, ma'am.
And in regards to those services, she has already completed the parenting class. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
Yes,
has she done her psychosocial?
Yes. She did the psychosocial assessment on April 30th.
Okay. And has she been able to communicate with you about if she has any questions?
Yes.
And has she been communicating with you regarding the case as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in regards to Mr. Gutierrez, have you been able to go over his service plan?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
And has he's also completed his parenting course, is that correct?
Yes.
And it looks like he did an alcohol awareness program. Now, I didn't see that on his service plan. Was that just an extra service he completed?
Yes, it is part of the, I think it's the psychosocial and drug alcohol awareness in the same recovery. The same,
Okay.
yeah, the same place.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Has he completed an OSAR evaluation?
He is about to do OSAR. I think it's probably this week.
Okay, perfect. So it appears that both parents have gotten on their services rather quickly. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And is Mr. Gutierrez able and I'm sorry, does he communicate with you frequently?
Yes.
And at this time, are we requesting any drug screens for either parent?
They've been drug screened in April 15. Ms. Gutierrez has a negative result on the hair follicle and urine analysis. Mr. Gutierrez, hair follicle is still positive with marijuana and oxycodone. And for the urine analysis, it's not enough specimen to collect, so I will redo the urine analysis this month.
Okay, so are we requesting today that he do a UA?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in regards to the service plans, are they reasonably tailored to address the reasons for removal?
Yes, ma'am.
And specifically, we are asking for dad to address in the OSAR evaluation, the drug use, is that correct?
Yes.
And for the mom, we are asking for the parenting class, which she has completed, and a psychosocial, which will include counseling, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you believe that these are reasonably, sorry, I already asked that question. I apologize. Do you believe it would be contrary to the welfare of the child to be returned to either parent today?
Yes, ma'am. There is another services that both Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Gutierrez has to, it's a rational behavior therapy class that they have not completed. It's going to be on May 9th.
Okay, and do you believe that would be important for them to take that class before there's any, before there's any reunification?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. For the record, Mr. Pirtle's now joined us. Mr. Pirtle, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Judge. Okay, may I proceed?
You may.
Okay. I was wondering, is it possible for my client, Polly, to increase her visitation times at this time, since she's passed all drug tests and she's already completed her parenting class?
Ma'am, can you answer that?
Yes. Also, Ms. Gutierrez actually asked me to increase the visitation for,
His question is, can she have increased visitation since she's been testing negative and she's already started her services?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Archer?
I have no questions of this witness.
Okay. Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
Okay. Anyone have anything further from this witness?
Just one. What is the mom's current visitation? How long is she getting right now?
It's once a week for 1 hour.
Okay, and and I'm assuming you'll staff up more, but you're recommending more visitation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, Judge.
Okay. Anyone else have other questions for her? All right then,
No
Ms.
questions.
Wiggins, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest. We just ask that the service has been listed in the service plan that's filed with the court to be made an order of the court. And we do recognize that the parents have gotten on their services, and we appreciate that, of course.
Okay. All right then. Mr. Pirtle, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge.
Ms. Archer?
I'd like to call my client, Judge, unless you'd like it to be a separate hearing. He would like to be asked to be adjudicated the father.
Well, I read in the original report, everybody agreed that he is not the biological father, but he was listed somehow as a presumed father.
Well, yes, that's what I mean. He was married to mom at the time, and he is on the birth certificate. Do you have him down as the presumed father, or do I need to prove that up?
I think that's how it was pled, but I
Okay.
mean, I don't.
I just wanted to verify.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can have him testify, but I have in my notes that everyone agreed that he is truly not the biological father. So I don't know that I can enter an order that says he is. He's
Correct.
pled as the presumed. We don't
Right.
have any unknown fathers, and we don't have any alleged fathers. So I think he's going to get there on his own.
Okay, perfect. Then I don't need to call him as a witness. Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh.
I think the only confusion, Judge, is that you did order genetic testing. Is that still your order, or are we presuming him the father at this time?
Well, I'm not trying to upset the apple cart here. I know what I understand and appreciate what he's trying to do, but I personally don't. I mean, let's just, Miss Archer, do you have any problem with just asking him if does he admit that he's not the biological father?
Mr. Gutierrez, or
if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to make you do it.
I'd rather not do that, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to retract the order for genetic testing.
Thank
if
you.
It hadn't already been done. So, okay. All right, then, if no one else has any further witnesses, then Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue department's temporary managing conservator, continue placement as is. Child's doing well in placement.
Okay. All right, then. I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Prince's current placement. I'll order the services for each parent as contained in their service plans. I will order increased visitation from Ms. Gutierrez. I'm not gonna go into how much increased visitation unless y'all can't work it out. If you can't, then I'll have to decide it, but I don't like to micromanage the visitation schedules.
Judge, I have a question.
Who's that?
Polly Gutierrez.
Okay, what's your question, ma'am? I can answer, maybe I can't.
My caseworker Serenity said that the judge has to approve the ICPC to my sister. She's a certified foster mother in the state of California.
Yes,
Okay.
I already ordered the ICPC, sir, Judge.
You've already
I
ordered it?
requested. Yeah,
You
I
requested
requested.
Okay.
Yes.
Ms. Gutierrez, I'm happy to order it if you want to. I don't know that it's going to speed it up any, especially in California, but if you want me to, I'll be happy to order it.
Could you please?
Give me just a second. Can you give me her name and spell it for me, please?
It's Mercedes, Mercedez. Last name White as the color.
Okay. All right. In addition to what I've already, had I finished my ruling?
I don't think so.
Let me just start over. Departments continued, temporary managed conservator placements continued. I'll order the services for both Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Gutierrez is contained in their service plans. I will, as I said, I'll order increased visitation for Ms. Gutierrez, and I will order the ICPC home study on Mercedes, spelled with an ending in a Z, White. All right, then. Our next hearing, the initial permanency hearing, will be on August 26th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. Ms. Gutierrez, Mr. Gutierrez, if you both unmute, please, for a minute.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I need to admonish you today that the services that are contained in your service plan become a court order today. At a final hearing, if you have not worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you both understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Your Honor, the only thing, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Maybe you can consider giving me increased visitation as well, as I'm following my service plan as well.
What's the department's position on that?
I believe we would want a little bit more, I guess, notice of sobriety in his. I think that's the difference between Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Gutierrez.
Yeah. Mr. Gutierrez, what I'll do is as soon as you've given both a negative UA and a negative hair strand, then I don't have any problem with you having additional visitation too, but I want you to be clean on both counts.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If y'all can't work it out, just you let Miss Archer know, and she knows what to do if y'all can't agree to that increased visitation.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We'll stand in recess on this case. For those of you involved, I'll be back at noon to call a Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the child. Ms. Grant is with us representing the mother. Ms. Holman, who is with us. And Ms. Christie, I guess she's still in it so far. She represents Mr. Cabello, the father. Cabello, he is incarcerated, I show, and he is not in the waiting room. I do have Amy Prater in the waiting room.
That's my caseworker, Your Honor. And was Isaiah recently adjudicated as the father during the month of April 2024?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Thank you. And where is the child currently in the same place as indicated in your court report?
Yes, she is.
And did you prepare a court report for today's hearing?
I did.
Your Honor, we ask the court take judicial notice of the court report filed on April 24th of 2024.
All right, so noted, and I have read that report.
Thank you. Now, Amy, can you give us some details on how Jazea is doing in this foster home?
She's doing very well. Here recently, we did have some outbursts with Jazea and some issues going on at daycare where she was kind of physically aggressive with other children. But foster parents were able to get in there with play therapy, and she's doing much better now. Jazea is progressing very well in her speech therapy as well, and even starting to talk a little bit more.
Thank you, Amy. And how is Ms. Holman doing on her services?
She's making progress. I did call and verify a few things this morning. I did find out this morning that Alayla has been to 2 therapy appointments so far. She also was a no-call, no-show for 3 appointments since she's been out of incarceration, as well as Alayla reports that she's about to start parenting classes. I did call Hope Choice to just verify her spot, but they don't have her in the system as of right now.
Now, you mentioned that Ms. Holman had been in jail, and can you let us know when she was released approximately?
She was released, I believe, towards the end of February, early March.
And she is currently expecting another baby in June of this year. Is that correct?
She is.
Now, since being released, has she gone ahead and started services?
She has.
But it sounds like from your testimony that she is not as on top of them as she should be. Would you agree with that statement?
I would.
Objection, leading and mischaracterizes previous testimony.
Overrule.
You can answer, Amy.
I would. Alayla also failed to drug screen earlier last week.
Now, have there been, can you explain the issues that have existed or occurred around drug screening for Ms. Holman?
Yes. When Alayla was sent for a hair follicle in April, I believe it was, or late March, Alayla reported to me that the clinic had taken a lot more hair than what they should have. So at this point, I believe she's hesitant to complete any other hair follicles.
And when she spoke with you about the amount of hair that was taken out, can you explain her demeanor?
She was a little bit upset, very emotional, kind of agitated, but overall, when I did speak with her in person, she had a much more calm demeanor about it.
Now, in regards to visitation, how is Alayla's visitation with Jazea going?
Good, good. She's getting more interactive. Jazea, I mean, is getting more interactive. Alayla interacts with her appropriately.
And how much visitation is she getting right now?
She's getting 1 hour per week.
Are there any negative issues regarding visitation?
Alayla does seem to bring in family members at the beginning of those visits to say hello to Jazea, but usually those are just kind of hi-bye situations. We have told Alayla a few times, like, we can't have family stay for these visits, that these visits are just between her and Jazea.
Okay. And does the department have any position on family members participating in visitation more than that?
No, no, not at this time.
And is the department opposed to increasing Alayla's visitation with Jazea as well?
I believe at this moment, given her inability to go drug screen for us last week, at this time, we would just keep it 1 hour per week.
And are we asking the court to order both a urinalysis and a hair follicle drug screen today?
Yes.
And why are we asking for a hair follicle drug screen within the 90-day window we typically wait to pass?
I believe it's indicated given Ms. Holman's reasoning as to not screening last week.
Now, Mr. Gavello has been sentenced on some criminal charges. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he will be going to Texas Department of Criminal Justice, going to prison. Is that correct as well?
Yes, that is my understanding.
Have you had time to meet with Mr. Gavello in the past month or two?
Yes.
And what has he indicated in regards to working services?
He's indicated that he would like to work services once he is released from incarceration, or at the very least see what is available to him once he's transferred to TDCJ.
Now, has he been able to complete or start any services up to this point?
No.
Are there any recommended services that we are asking to be ordered by the court?
Not at this time.
Are our only requests at this time that the mother be ordered to hair follicle and urinalysis drug screen?
Yes.
Has Ms. Holman been able to attend her Women Against Violence service?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay. Is it known by you whether or not she qualifies for enrollment in that service through their intake?
I did place an email to their intake department at Family Support Services. I just have not heard back on that yet.
So at this point, we're not asking for any changes to that requirement in her service plan. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that Ms. Holman has not been able to fully address the issues that caused removal?
Yes.
And very briefly, what were the issues that surrounded removal?
Arguments, including some domestic violence, agitation, verbal and physical, arguments and fights with her siblings, as well as Ms. Holman's inability to avoid alcohol at the time.
Are we also asking that Ms. Holman be ordered to alcohol screen today?
Yes.
Do you believe it would be contrary to Josiah's welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe that doing so would represent a danger to her physical health and safety?
I do.
Pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Prater, do you know what Mr. Cabello was sentenced on? What type of crime?
There were multiple. Some of them included evading arrest, as well as probation revocations for assault of a family member on a few occasions. And then a couple of them are out of county charges, which I'm not able to see.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I read in the report that at one point Ms. Holman was not in compliance with her probation, so they put her on an ankle monitor. As far as we know, is she squared away with probation now?
Yes, and she continues to wear the ankle monitor.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Ms. Grant?
Ms. Prater, what was the date of the last hair follicle test?
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe it was March 28th.
And so the hair follicle last week would have also been within the 90-day period, correct?
She was sent to UA last week.
Okay, so no hair follicle last week and only the hair follicle this week is the request?
Yes.
Or I apologize, that didn't seem clear. UA, hair follicle, and alcohol being requested today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
All right. Anyone else have anything further for Ms. Prater?
I have a couple of brief questions. Amy, are we asking for the court to retain this case on the docket and to extend the dismissal date?
Yes, we are.
Are we hopeful that with Ms. Holman expecting a new baby and recently out of jail, as well as having started services now, are we hopeful that reunification can still happen?
Yes, very much so.
And in regards to Mr. Gavello, would it be fair or important for him to have an extension as well, since he was only adjudicated as a father a few short weeks ago?
Yes.
And would it be necessary to give him an opportunity and time to work services?
I believe so, yes.
Pass the witness.
Anyone else? All right, then, Ms. Gutierrez, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Your Honor. I had previously circulated a proposed order on our motion to extend that we have filed. I think I got Harry's signature back, but I'm not aware of Ms. Grant or Ms. Christie's position.
Okay, all right, we'll wait and see. I suspect we're going to be substituting relatively quickly someone for Ms. Christie. She hadn't gotten around to file her motion to withdraw on this case, but she will be, I'm sure. So, okay. Then Ms. Grant, did you have any witnesses?
We do not have any witnesses, Your Honor. I believe that we have submitted the signature, but for the record, we do agree to the extension.
Okay.
My
All right, Mr.
apologies
Ingram.
if we didn't get that back, Ms. Gutierrez.
Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue department as managing conservator, continue placement as is.
Okay. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary manager conservator, continue the current placement. I'll order Ms. Holman to both to hair strand, UA, drug screen, and also alcohol screen by 4 p.m. today. If those screens are negative, then I will order that her visitation be increased to 2 hours weekly. I will go ahead, based on what I've heard, I do find extraordinary circumstances to extend this case and retain the case on the court's docket, so I will sign that order when it's presented to me. All right, that's going to change. Let me look. I was about to set a final for July. Haley, you want to give me something for the next perm hearing?
You had said that we could set something July 8th in the morning. We don't have anything set right now. We want to do it then at 9 o'clock.
Well, that's only 2 months into.
Oh, I thought you said July. Is that not what you just said?
Well, we're sitting at May 6th, and I was going to set the final for July 8th. So that's just two months out.
Okay, so
I mean,
what are you?
I don't mind doing it that quick, but we got 120 days before we have to have the next
Oh,
one.
I see. Okay, gotcha. We have August 12th.
Okay,
That work?
sure. Okay, then I will set the next permanency hearing for August 12th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time we will have that hearing. Okay, we will stand in recess on this case, a permanency hearing. I'll be back at 12:30. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the children. Mr. Hill is, I assume, substituting for Mr. Barfield today, representing the father, Mr. Williams. And Ms. Grant is with us representing the mother, Ms. Felder, who is also with us. I have Rachel Peoples in the waiting room.
That is my witness, Your Honor. And as well, is there a Kashira Muhammad in the waiting room?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Stacy, Harry, and Jeff, are y'all comfortable going forward with me just offering that hearing as evidence?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor,
Yes.
thank you. We also have a motion for judgment nunc-pro-tunc pending. On September 1st of 2023, the court there in Cherokee County, before our case was transferred, heard a motion to dismiss along with a status hearing, and the court denied the department's motion to dismiss. I therefore offer petitioner's exhibit number 1. It has been delivered to your office. It is a copy of the hearing that occurred on September 1st of 2023, and where the judge does announce that he is denying the motion to dismiss. Unfortunately, the order denying the motion to dismiss, only the title was changed and the body proceeded to grant it and dismiss everybody in a clerical error, Your Honor. So we have our motion filed. I offer that exhibit 1 as evidence at this time.
Okay, objections?
No objection.
Right. Have I been presented with the order, nunc-pro-tunc order?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. I don't believe we've filed a proposed one yet.
Okay.
But I can have that sent over to your office this afternoon or first thing tomorrow if the court is going to grant that motion, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll grant it based on what you've told me. There's no rush. Get it to me when you can, but I will go ahead and grant the nunc-pro-tunc that corrects the language contained within the order.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we ask to proceed with the permanency hearing now, and I call Rachel Peoples as my witness. And did you prepare and file a court report on April 26th of 2024?
I did.
Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of that court report.
All right, so noted, and I have read that report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Rachel, do the children continue being placed with their father, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And can you give us some details on how they are doing with him?
The kids are doing really well with Dad. He just started working at a new job, so he kind of has long hours and has good support there in Pampa, his aunt. So the kids will stay with the aunt some, and it's a good situation.
Okay, and has the aunt passed any sort of background check or inquiry that the department or St. Francis does on caregivers?
I believe she did at the beginning of the case. She had to have been checked out.
All right, and is Mr. Williams making sure that the children's necessities such as food, shelter, education, and medical care are all being taken care of?
Yes.
All right. And how is Dimitri doing in school?
He's doing good. He is kind of the typical boy. He loves recess. So I don't think he likes school that much, but it's okay.
Okay. And is Aurora in daycare or is she in school?
No, she's not in either. She'll stay with the aunt while Dad's at work.
Okay. And is she meeting her developmental milestones?
Yes, she is.
All right. Is either child in therapy?
No, they are not.
Okay. And are both of them up to date on medical and dental exams?
Yes, they are.
Okay. How is Mr. Williams progressing on his services?
He's progressing good. He goes and drug screens when asked. The initial family plan that was created for him in Cherokee County, there wasn't a lot on his family plan, and we haven't really added much except an OSAR if needed. Okay. And there's also a co-parenting class on there, but at this time, we're not expecting him to do that.
Okay. And is Mr. Williams complying with drug screening?
Yes.
Okay. Are we asking for any drug screens to be ordered for him today?
Yes. Or no, well, yeah, we can send him.
Okay.
I don't think we put it on the court order, but
okay. Has Mr. Williams hair follicle drug screened within the last 3 months for St. Francis?
he has.
Okay. And when was that?
On April 18th.
Okay. Were there any concerns with those results?
No.
Okay. And are we asking that the court order an substance abuse assessment through OSAR in the event Mr. Williams were to test positive in the future?
Yes.
Now, how is Ms. Felder doing on her services?
I was unable to meet with Miss Felder in April, so I'm not sure if she's completed it in anything else since the last time we spoke. I haven't been able to contact her much. We've had a few text messages back and forth, but I don't know where she's living. And the last address I did have, I went by there twice last month and she didn't answer or wasn't there.
To your knowledge, how is Ms. Felder doing on her substance abuse issue?
Because of the drug screen she took in March, and not screening last month, she was positive for cocaine in March on a UA, so.
Additionally, I understand you weren't able to meet with her last month, but before that point, did you have knowledge of who she was living with?
Yes, she was living with an aunt for a while after she moved out of her boyfriend / ex-boyfriend's house.
Your Honor, can I get a breakout room with Miss Peoples and Miss Brown, please?
Who do you want in the breakout room?
Rachel Peoples and Stacy Brown?
Okay. Just the two of them, or you want in two, Miss Gutierrez?
I do need to be in with them, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I apologize for needing that break. We are ready to proceed.
All right, you may proceed then.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Rachel, I'm going to rephrase a couple of my last questions. Since the last hearing in this case in January, what major or concerning events have happened with Ms. Felder's drug use?
So since the last hearing, she did test positive for cocaine on a UA.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the line of questioning as to the drug test results.
Sustain.
Okay. Rachel, you can rephrase your answer if there were any admissions made by the mother.
She did admit to using cocaine to me, and that was about, I believe it was about a month or two ago.
And since the last hearing, had she also been living with Isaiah Cabello?
Yes.
And was he also, I'm sorry, did I get that name right?
Carvajal, I believe.
Carvajal, with Mr. Carvajal. And is that her boyfriend that was involved in the removal of the children in this case?
Yes.
And
let me interrupt. Amy, do you need her to spell the last name? Yeah, she does. Carvajal.
It's Carbajal.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Rachel, since the last hearing, what occurred in the household with Mr. Carvajal and Ms. Felder concerning their own child?
So they together have another child named Ziari, and he has since been removed from their care. He tested positive for cocaine on a hair follicle, and they both admitted at the time that they were using in the house that they were living at together.
Now, is it concerning for you that Ms. Felder is no longer meeting with you and as well has had her infant removed?
Yes.
And how does this affect your view of what kind of danger she presents to Zorora and Dimitri?
I mean, I don't know what her whereabouts are, but to me, it seems like she's just kind of avoiding me the last month, and I believe she's still using, especially from not going through any type of
Objection. This is beyond the scope of the question.
Overrule.
By completing any services at this time, and especially since her last drug screen in March. So I'm just pretty concerned about the whole situation.
So let's go back to that. You mentioned services. Has she completed any services in this case?
She says that she completed her parenting classes with Hope Choice. I haven't received a completion of that.
Okay. Are we asking for drug screens to be ordered for Ms. Felder to take today?
Yes.
And what drug screens are we asking for?
A UA.
And has she taken a hair follicle drug screen in the last 3 months?
Her last hair follicle. No, we would request a hair follicle as well.
Do you believe that it would be contrary to the children's welfare to be returned to the mother today?
Yes.
Do you also believe that doing so would present a physical and emotional danger to the children's safety?
Yes.
Are there any other major events that we need to inform the court about?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And Rachel, are you able to double check when Ms. Felder's last hair follicle was?
Yes, I can. It was in January.
Okay.
Well, sorry. It might have been in March.
Need a minute to check that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
We can move on. I'm going to order it today either way. So
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And what type of visitation does Ms. Felder have with these two children?
She's not having any visitation with the children at this time.
Do you have the date that that visitation was stopped?
Yes. Oh, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't have it handy.
And are we asking the court to approve that no visitation occur between the children and the mother?
Yes.
And under what conditions would we be asking the court to restart that visitation for mom and the children?
A clean drug screen.
Both a urinalysis and hair follicle?
Yes.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Grant?
Ms. Peoples, is there a reason why supervised visitation couldn't be started upon presentation of 2 consecutive clean UAs per month?
We would like a clean hair follicle.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Hill?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Peoples, Mr. Williams apparently is complying very well with his service plan. Is that right?
Yes.
You seemed very equivocal about a drug test. First it was yes, and then it was no, and then well, maybe, and then well, why not? Sure, what the heck? Are we just wasting everyone's time and money to do that, or is there really a need for that?
Honestly, I don't think there's a need for one right now.
Oh, golly.
Who was that?
I don't know, Your Honor. It was a very odd voice and
Yeah. Well, let me cut to the chase here. We're wasting a lot of time on this. Ms. Peoples, Mr. Williams has done what he's been asked, except I did read that he tested positive for marijuana at a level of 68 on March 19th, 2024. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, so wouldn't you say that's reason enough to go ahead and have him do another UA?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good enough. Go ahead, Ms. Gutierrez.
I think it was Mr. Hill's line of questioning, unless he passed the
I'm
witness.
sorry. That's right. You're right.
No further questions, Judge. I'll pass.
Okay. Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
All right. All right. Ms. Gutierrez, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor, we do have a couple of requests. We ask that the next hearing scheduled be the final hearing. We also ask that mediation be ordered in this case.
Okay. Ms. Grant, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we'll rest.
Mr. Hill?
Rest.
Mr. Ingram?
No witnesses.
Ms. Peoples, where would Mr. Williams drug test and where would Ms. Felder drug test?
Ms. Felder would drug test at the Care Express off of Ross Osage, and Mr. Williams would drug test at Prestige in Pampa.
Okay.
And Your Honor, we have an additional request. I apologize. I may need to reopen.
Briefly.
Very briefly, Your Honor, we are asking for an additional substance abuse assessment through OSAR be completed by Ms. Felder.
Okay. Has she done her first OSAR?
I believe she did her first one because a court report specifically asked for a second one.
Okay. All right. Okay, then. Mr. Ingram, any recommendations?
Continue the department's temporary managing conservator. Continue placement with the father. Kids seem to be doing very well with the dad.
Okay, thank you. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the current placements. I'll order Mr. Williams to submit to a UA drug screen by 4 p.m. tomorrow at Prestige I assume that's in Pampa. I will order, no, I'm not going to order that. No, give me just a second. And I will order Ms. Felder to submit to both the hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. tomorrow at Care Express in Amarillo on Ross Osage Street. I'll order that Ms. Felder's visitation be suspended until she provides both the negative hair strand and a UA drug screen. I'll order Ms. Felder to undergo a second OSAR assessment and follow all recommendations. And I will order mediation in this case. Let me check real on a final hearing date. Yeah, we've got, I think so. I think we have time. Haley, you can double check me. I was going to schedule it anyway for June 24th, 2024. I believe that's 45 days out from today. Y'all double check me on that. If that's, unless we find out that's not 45 days out, the final will be set for June 24th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket to see exactly what time that hearing will take place. All right, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back at 1.